Hello, and welcome back to the Reading Foundations course. Today we will work through module number 4. In the last module, we learned how to assess readers and then how to use these assessments to drive instruction. Today I want to teach you that we also follow the tenets of Reading Workshop as we plan and execute conferences and small group instruction. We do this by matching the text to the reader and matching the learning to the reader's needs, setting students up to be independent readers and do independent work, teaching explicit strategies, allowing students time to practice their work while reading, and following a predictable routine. Look at this list of tenets. In what ways are the principles of conferring and small group instruction similar to the principles of workshop teaching? Go on to the discussion board and write your thoughts. I want you to know that if you teach an effective mini lesson every day and give your students time to read, they will grow. But conferring and small group instruction will accelerate their growth because students will be working on their individual goals and individual needs. A conference is an opportunity for a reading teacher to work one-to-one with a student. During a conference, the teacher listens to a student read or talks to a student about his or her reading to research the student's strengths and needs. Then, the teacher compliments the student on what went well and decides what to teach. Lastly, the teacher teaches an individual lesson to the student and leaves him or her with a new strategy to try. Okay, now it's time for you to watch a conference. While viewing the video, take notes on the parts of the conference. What is the teacher doing? What is the student doing? How does the conference help accelerate the learning? There are several resources you can use to plan a conference and small group instruction. Of course, you can always use data you've collected on the student, but you can also get teaching points from your curriculum and from resources such as Jen Saravello's Reading Strategies book. Small group instruction is another way to accelerate reading proficiency. Small group instruction is similar to conferring, except the teacher meets with more than one student. There are two types of small group instruction formats: guided reading groups and strategy groups. In guided reading, students are grouped by level, they work in the same book, and reading teachers target strategies that will push students up to the next reading level. In a strategy lesson, students can be reading at different levels and in different books. The teacher does the lesson based on a strategy the entire group needs. Now watch this small group lesson and take notes on how this work accelerates the student's reading proficiency. Okay, now you've observed both a conference and a small group lesson. Your next assignment is to choose one, teach it, and then reflect on the experience. How did that feel as a teacher? How did this work benefit your readers? You may be wondering what the other students do while you're conferring or working with small groups. This is the time where students are engaged in independent reading. You can use some of these tools to ensure that students don't interrupt your teaching. Some teachers teach students the ask three before me rule and prompt students to ask their peers for help instead of interrupting the teacher. Other teachers use visual cues, such as wearing a busy bee headband, to remind students not to interrupt. And just like scaffolds hold up a building and supports keep our bodies in line, you can provide scaffolds and supports to students so they can have the supports needed to remain independent. Today, I also want to teach you that reading teachers support student independence by creating charts for students to reference and by teaching students to set goals. There are 2 steps to creating an effective chart. Number 1, name the strategy you're teaching. And number 2, name a step-by-step procedure to achieving proficiency in that strategy. Look at this chart. The strategy is good readers envision their characters. And the steps are 1, what does their face look like? 2, what does their body look like? 3, how are others reacting? 4, how is the character speaking? Goal setting also supports independence because it motivates students and helps to keep them engaged in their learning targets. There are 2 types of reading goals. 1, process goals, such as how long can you maintain engagement in the task of reading. And 2, content goals, such as comprehension or fluency or decoding. Your last assignment for this module will be to create a scaffold or support for your class. This can be a step-by-step chart or a goal. That's it for now. Over the course of the next week, please watch the videos, do the reflections, and write on our discussion boards. Also, plan, teach, and reflect on a conference or small group, and create a scaffold or support for your class. Please also read Growing Readers, pages 65 through 113. And don't forget, your inquiry study should be underway.